meeting to order. Please stand for the pledge of allegiance. You can have a moment of silence for the Percy Police Chief who passed away.
Can't hear you.
We're going to have a moment of silence for the Percy Police Chief who passed away yesterday. Thank you. Could you please call roll?
Mrs. Vance Clemens,
Here.
Mrs. Cullen,
Here.
Mrs. Dolan, Ms. Kildare,
Here.
Mr. Kraus,
Here.
Mr. Rice,
Here.
Dr. Thompson,
Here.
Mrs. Walters,
Here.
Dr. Yarnell.
Here.
Before we go to public comment, Mrs. McHale, if you could highlight, there were some last minute changes to the personnel and the EDR report. And so since those changes were made this afternoon, I just wanted to highlight them before we go to public comment, just in case anyone had already seen the agenda before that and had missed those additions.
Absolutely, and thank you for considering these last-minute items. As you know, this time of year is rather busy for us with our new hires and folks changing positions and reassignments, so we wanted to get on as many as we possibly could tonight. So we have two individuals who are taking on a sixth section at Norton Middle School this year. They are John Groller and Robin Murphy, so they are two additions to the agenda. We have two individuals who are extending a leave of absence, Mr. Kevin Fox and Ms. Sherry Orr. One is a custodian and one is a special assignment teaching assistant. And then our last change on the superintendent's personnel is for information purposes only. Chelsea D'Onofri is going into a reading specialist position at Sellersville. She is currently a Sellersville teacher. We did have a few, I think, on the EDR report as well. They would be coaching positions, and they are for the fall. We have Mr. Jacob Sands, head coach, Central Middle School football. Two assistant football coaches at Central Middle School, Christopher Embert and Sean O'Neill. Field hockey head coach at Central Middle School, Lauren Cromiller. And soccer head coach, Central Middle School, Andrew Maritsky. And James Connolly, North head soccer coach. Barrett Bobson, assistant soccer coach at Central. And those were all the changes, Ms. Vance Clemens.
Thank you, Mrs. McHale. Okay, the first person we have signed up is Maggie Dialis. Oh, sorry, I'm going to read the. The Penridge School Board welcomes public comment. According to Policy 903, we remind everyone of the following. Public comment shall be limited to 3 minutes unless otherwise specified by the board. Participants must be recognized by the presiding officer and note their name and municipality. All statements shall be directed to the presiding officer rather than to individual board members, district employees, and members of the public. The speaker may speak once during each comment period. Please note that these sessions are designated for comments to protect the confidentiality and privacy rights of all members of our community. The board encourages members of the public to direct any comments regarding particular individuals, such as students or district employees, privately to the superintendent or other appropriate administrators or board members, or to communicate with the board and superintendent privately by sending an email to psdschoolboard@penridge.org. Questions raised and not addressed may be followed up at a later time.
Hi, I'm Maggie Bialowas, and I live in Hilltown. I'm a parent of two and a high school teacher. I said, as the summer rolls around, I know you'll be reviewing and updating policies for the next school year. While ALICE training has been implemented across the district and school police officers approved, there's still a lot to do. Even though school shootings on the level of Stoneman Douglas haven't happened in the past few months, we all know there's still a threat, and I'd like to get a sense of where you are. So the actual question is, how do you feel about Penridge teachers carrying firearms? Thanks.
Thank you. Next is Ed Mackhouse.
Hello, my name's Ed Mackhouse from Buckingham.
Mr. Mackhouse, could you please press the button in front of you so that your microphone is on the red light?
Is that it?
Perfect.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes, Ed Mackhouse, nice to see you all. It's great to see you all here. It's been a while since I've been here. It's a pleasant surprise how great the school district is coming. I'm from Central Bucks, which is #1 school district still in the state, but I understand you're trying to compete against us. You're hiring away some of our talent. So I hope you come up to our standards where right now we have the top high schools in the state, SATs. My sons got full scholarships, or almost full scholarships at Temple. One's graduating, got an $80,000 a year job offer, and the other one's almost straight A's. One's got 2 B's and is doing fine in his first year in chemistry. And I think you're on the right track. Your budget is beyond, you have money for school security, you're concerned, and you're going to bring up the security at Penridge to the level of Bucks County. So every other school district now is arming police. I talked to your people, your security people, and all of them are outstanding, and I would trust any of them with my life and the life of my children. There are teachers, though, I was a teacher for 10 years in difficult schools, who don't believe that there's any teacher in Bucks County or in the state who is worthy of protecting their children, that they believe that they should be trusted with a firearm. I think that there are, the school, I was in this, we had Albert Shanker in the union, I was in the union for 10 years, and he listened to, he would listen to other people, and he trusted the teachers, and teachers would do what's necessary to protect their students. And any sane parent would do whatever is necessary to protect their children. And I think that you should, that with the changes here, you could get it so that there is debate. Diversity doesn't mean just representing the sides that are anti-American. We have diversity. We should also listen to the side of America's interests. Now there is $1 billion that the steel industry is going to invest in Pennsylvania, give jobs for our students. And there's been hopeless students, people going on drugs, because the country is spending $400 billion on money, which is, we have a deficit of $800 billion. That's equivalent to $80,000 for 10 million American families. So we can return hope to our children that they can get jobs like our children and my children and have a future in America again. So it's not a crime to want to make America great again, and the school district has a responsibility. And I'm full confidence that this school board, if you can stay in power, will make the changes necessary to make Penridge #1 in the state and the nation. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other public comments? Okay. So I just wanted to follow up on the comment first question was about arming teachers. That is actually not legal in the state of Pennsylvania. And, as far as our safety, there is a safety committee that the district has, and they used to give monthly reports at our board meetings. But because the information that we can share publicly is not information that everybody's interested in, I think there was some interest in not having those monthly reports, because I think the highlights, the things that parents want to know, what's going on, what kinds of changes are going on in the schools to protect your kids. Most of those things are not things that can be shared in public meetings, because obviously the more we publicize safety measures that are being taken in the schools, the less safe that makes everyone. And so those are decisions that, those are things that are kind of, kept confidential. Did you make me that? Okay. All right, and then we'll move on to the president's report. Okay, so this is the last time I get to talk about our amazing budget. So, since we are approving the final budget, which is a historic budget, I'd like to highlight the importance of it and the future implications both financially and academically. This is the first balanced budget in at least 20 years with no tax increase, no borrowing from fund balance, and no new debt. We are moving into the second year of our 6-year capital projects plan that prioritizes our needs and bridges the gap to when our debt will start to drop, first by $6 million annually and up to $13 million annually. This will allow us to pay for large expenses as we go instead of stacking the debt out and wasting millions in interest. That's millions of dollars annually that can go back into education rather than spending it on interest and debt. The plan funds upkeep of all facilities, adds air conditioning to large spaces in the elementary schools, and includes regrading the grass fields at all schools to provide more opportunities to more students. This is the third consecutive year with no tax increase, which is the third of only 5 times in the last 20 years. We also did not use any of the fund balance that had been allocated for the budget last year, and so a decrease in averaging $5,000 per month, $60,000 per year on more efficient and effective legal counsel. Based on the makeup of these bills, we're likely to see that difference be even greater in the future. All of this while adding STEM special to the elementary school, and that now gives our teachers that extra special, settling fair long-term contracts with staff, we're working on our last one, and increasing funding to the Upper Bucks County Technical School, cutting administrative overhead, and increasing supports to the classroom. The number of supervisors were reduced to provide a continuous curriculum flow from K to 12 with additional supports and aids being added to the classrooms to best meet the individual needs of students and allow for collaboration. Our professional development continues to become more individualized to best meet the needs of teachers and prioritize highly qualified staff. We added one-way kindergarten busing, which expands the kindergarten day. The budget is a key example of prioritizing a well-rounded education that meets the individual needs of all students and enables students to thrive in academics, athletics, music, the arts, woodworking, and the trades through our technical school, while providing staff with the tools they need to be successful, reducing non-essential costs, and working within our means with long-term financial planning that eliminates the need to raise taxes or borrow money for the foreseeable future. We can see the results of this every day as we see all of our kids reaching new heights in every single area. When you look at all of the awards that our kids are getting through Skills USA, for example, through all of our academic teams, several of them making it to states, winning championships. One particular note, we actually had several different teams this year who received the Sportsmanship Award, which is a really proud thing to highlight for our district this year. We had numerous teams that received the Sportsmanship Award, and that says a lot for the character of the students in this district and the character of our coaches and staff. And our music program is another example of that. We were the best community for music education in 2019, which is a huge highlight. So, and numerous art awards, and including some of our kids being recognized at Arcadia University. So in all areas, we see kids succeeding. I'd like to highlight another first. streamed graduation. It was a huge success with 320 viewers watching live and 1,850 views as of Friday morning. She mentioned that friends and family from Texas to China were able to watch their students graduate. The Next Stop social media series has also been a huge hit, highlighting the future plans for our seniors. And if you haven't seen the kindergartner's advice video, you have to see it. It's so adorable. So you can check that out as well. It's on our social media pages, and I think is it on our website too? The kindergartner's advice video has reached over 8,000 Facebook users. 2,546 users have engaged with the video as of the last time we looked. Also, finally, Callie was able to, in record time, carry out the first annual newsletter for Penn Ridge. One of Dr. Bolton's goals has been to increase communication with the community and build a connection with people in our community who do not have a direct student or employee connection to the schools. This is one of many efforts to increase communication in the last year. This is in addition to launching district social media accounts, posting documents publicly so the public can access them and actively participate in our meetings, Inside PSD newsletters that are coming out weekly, the president's reports being posted publicly, and utilizing surveys for community input for major decisions, and of course our videos being posted publicly. Another item I wanted to highlight tonight that's on the agenda has to do with the tax resolution that we talked about at our Finance Committee meeting. The current resolution that was passed back in 2014 is set to expire on June 30th. The board discussed this tax resolution at the Finance Committee meeting and is extending, it's on the agenda tonight. What came out of committee was to extend this without there being an end date, an arbitrary end date on it, because then if there's an arbitrary end date, the board would have to, whatever year that is, the board would have to take that up again to be able to renew that. And all of the other districts that have this in place have it on a permanent basis, and obviously preserving your property is a permanent basis. So this would just end the arbitrary end date. It extends this program so that people who have preserved properties, it basically freezes their taxes on the preserved property so that tax rate does not increase. And part of the advantage to that is, there's been numerous studies that have been done that show even the financial advantage over several years to doing that, because you are incentivizing farmers to not be selling those properties and turning them into developments. And so by incentivizing them keeping those properties, it ends up, when you look at the studies and the averages, it ends up actually saving money in long term, and also makes things, obviously more feasible for farmers who are in that position. So at any time in the future, any board would be able to suspend that program at any time, but this would not give it an arbitrary date that would have to be looked at again. We had sent out a letter in the interest of transparency to those people to let them know that this is something that was going to be discussed. And we will send out another letter if it's passed today to let them know what the status is so that they're aware of how their properties are being affected. And the last thing I just wanted to mention is that there was a meeting for the quarry. DEP had invited all of our local legislators, as well as I went with Mr. Harper. This has to do with the East Rock Hill Quarry, and DEP had a meeting, a question and answer session. We had numerous residents who had reached out to us with concerns regarding the asbestos in the quarry and the health impacts that would have on the surrounding community as well as the school district. And so we were able to go there and ask questions on behalf of the community and get answers to those questions. There are still some concerns. Many of those concerns were raised with DEP, and DEP is going to continue to investigate those concerns regarding whether or not the quarry has been an active quarry, and also the health impacts of continuing to mine in a quarry that has that asbestos present, and what kinds of methods are being used to test to make sure that they're picking up asbestos if asbestos is detected, and what kinds of precautions are going to be in place so that if there is future exposure, that it's not something that goes into the air and then exposes surrounding properties, as well as Diver Elementary, which is within a mile of that quarry. So it was definitely a great conversation. They were very receptive. They listened to all the questions and concerns, and we're hopeful that they're going to come back with some recommendations that put the health needs of the community as their priority. They will be having future meetings. They may likely have they did agree to have a public meeting at some point in the near future, as well as having a follow-up meeting with the legislators and some monthly meetings to let people know what the status is. A lot of our community members were concerned about, if this quarry were to reopen and asbestos was then again released from this quarry, how that would affect the district and the houses. So we'll bring an update back when we have more information, but the DEP they said that they are committed to making sure that anything going forward takes the health impacts of residents as the top priority. So, thank you. And we'll move on to the superintendent's report.
Thank you, Ms. Advanced. Just a reminder to the school board members that you can follow along on the photos in your agenda under public comment, under superintendent's report, but you will not be able to see the screen that it's going through, that I'm assuming people in the audience can see. So this is my favorite time of the month. This is an opportunity for me to brag about some of the wonderful things that our students and our teachers have done over the last month. I had one of the board members say, well, it looks like we're recognizing a lot of students today. If you look over in this section and down front here, we have a lot of students here tonight, and I said, that is simply the students from our 3 track teams that qualify for states. And so it just speaks to the excellence of the programs, and just wanted to recognize those students from those 3 track teams, give you an opportunity to learn a little bit about them and to congratulate them publicly. So we're going to start with our Penn Ridge Unified Track Team. They had the opportunity to compete at the state track meet. In its first inaugural season, the Penn Ridge High School Unified Track Team qualified and competed at the state track meet this past month. We'd like to recognize the athletes, coaches, and nurse for their accomplishments. If you would please come forward when I call your name, I would appreciate it. Does that work?
Sure.
Oh, okay. All right.
We already came forward. We can come
Well-oiled machine. Well-oiled machine. So first, I'd like to congratulate the athletes, and I apologize in advance if I get your names wrong, but Craig Blake, Riley Boyle, Mackenzie Bross, Riley Fantazzo, Abby Holmes, Michael Holmes, Caitlin Iametta, Ian Livengood, Fabian Patton, Faith Park, Cornelius Shomate, and Michael Woodruff. If we could congratulate these athletes. Their coaches, Ms. Christine Fennell and Ms. Angela James, as well as the team nurse, Ms. Rachel McCowan, and the district liaison, Mr. Scott Ware. If those 4 could stand as well. Track might be new to some of you. I've asked the coaches if they would come up and talk about the creation of the unified track team, as well as give us some of the highlights. So ladies, thank you.
Okay.
Press the
Oh, I pressed the on button. Thank you. All right. So, good evening. My name is Christine Fennell. I'm one of the coaches of Unified Track and Field. For those of you who are unfamiliar with Unified Sports, we are an all-ability sports team, and we work in connection with Special Olympics to promote inclusion in sports. We had a very exciting first season, and we've accomplished a lot in a short time period. We had 2 meets during the regular season, both of which we won. And we had many athletes set new personal records and, more importantly, form lasting friendships with each other. I'd like to take a minute to recognize some of the accomplishments of the athletes who are with us here tonight, who competed at the state championship in Shippensburg Memorial Day weekend. Craig Blake threw his best throw in the javelin, besting his previous personal record by more than 25 feet. This 4x100 team also comprised of Ian Livingood, Riley Boyle, and CJ Schumate came in 3rd overall and set a new record for our team. CJ also set his own PR in the 400, coming in 3rd place overall, and he jumped his personal best and won the long jump. Fabian Patton also ran a personal best in the 800 and came in 1st in the state. Faith Park, Mackenzie Ross, Riley Fantozzi, Michael Humes, and Michael Woodruff all competed and tried their best in the 100. And Abby also ran the 100, and she threw her best javelin throw of the season, too. Caitlin Ionetta and Ian Livingood, 2 of our seniors, also competed in and ran personal best in the 4 and 800. Our successes this year would not have been possible without the support of several people. We would like to thank Dr. Wierka and Mr. Ware for always having our backs, providing funds for t-shirts, and making sure we had special transportation set up for our athletes to and from practices. Dr. Bolton and Ms. DeBona for asking how they could support us and really listening to our concerns. Mrs. Tennant for making sure we always had a nurse available for practices and meets. Mr. Gabb for helping to arrange our meets and transportation. And of course, our athletes and our parents. I was not sure what to expect our first year as a team. I have to admit I had many reservations about setting the bar too high when we first started planning out the season. However, always the optimist, my co-coach, Angela James, said from day one, we are going to states this year, and sure enough we did. Her enthusiasm and organization helped our team to stay focused and excited throughout the season. Now I'm going to let her share a few words quickly. Hi, this is Mary.
So we are more than just a sports team. So under Special Olympics, we have to work towards being a championship school. And for that to happen, the starting track was just the first baby step. We have a lot more to do in the next year. Hopefully we'll be adding bocce ball in the winter. Fingers crossed they're going to talk about that this week. In addition, we need to have whole school engagement activities, something as little as spread the word to end the word, to pep rallies or dances, something that will open it up to the whole school and make these activities accessible for everyone, and also start fundraising so that we can keep growing and be self-sustaining. So we have a lot happening. We're not done yet. We're going back next year. We're going to win. And, you know, it wouldn't be possible without, like, these guys. Because they came out when we put the call out, who wants to do this? And there was no hesitation. We were one of the biggest teams, the biggest team in the county. And no one else in Bucks County either has their banner. We're going to be